Welcome everyone to my YouTube channel. If you find it interesting, please give me a like and a subscription. Wish you a good day. Story name: Me and the Soul of the Symbol Fall in Love. Summary: in the immortal cultivation novel that I transmigrated into, the male lead is a sword master who cultivates the swordsmanship without mercy. The male lead, Wen Fu, has a powerful divine cloud sword that shakes the heavens. As for me, I am a childhood friend who secretly loves him. In the original book, after I confessed my feelings to the male lead, he coldly drew his sword and stabbed it through my throat, cold-blooded and heartless. Right when I transmigrated, I was confessing to the male lead I like. Thinking of the tragic ending in the book, I quickly turned around, looked at the divine cloud sword in his hand, and shyly said, "I like your sword." The snow-white sword suddenly turned red as if it was being heated. Unexpectedly, the soul of the sword responded to my confession, I agree. After that, the soul of the sword and I began a sweet love affair. I am in love. My lover is not a person, but the sword soul of a sword. I accepted this easily. My boyfriend is not a person, but he also saved me a lot of trouble. More importantly, he is a true lover. After finishing the rune class, I was about to leave Sushio Peak when I accidentally heard some gossip. Have you all seen the divine cloud sword? He actually came to pick up senior sister. Someone sneered, since the beginning of time, this is the first time I have seen a person and a sword develop feelings. I wonder what senior sister is thinking. There are so many talented people in the sect, why does she always like a sword? Junior sister Nguyen Fu suddenly spoke up, her clear voice made everyone look over. Don't say that about senior sister Lang Xie. Who knows, she might just be temporarily provoked. Senior brother Van Fu is single-mindedly cultivating the swordsmanship and doesn't pay attention to her. That's why senior sister Lang Xie. Just. Realizing that she had misspoken, Nguyen Fu quickly covered her mouth. She looked at me apologetically, sorry, senior sister Lang Xie, I didn't mean it. I looked at her deeply. A nameless junior brother quickly blocked in front of Nguyen Fu. You are senior sister, how can you be so narrow-minded? Moreover, Nguyen Fu really didn't mean it. Indeed, she is the female lead that everyone loves in the story. I looked at Nguyen Fu and calmly said, little junior sister is generous, respects her master above, cares for her fellow disciples below. 18 hearts are not enough to worry, no wonder her cultivation is slow, until now she has not entered the chi refining stage. Senior sister really admires me. I patted the little junior brother on the shoulder, leaving a sentence, junior brothers and junior sisters, please do not learn from me, my senior sister is narrow-minded, cold-blooded and heartless, does not care about anyone, only focuses on cultivation, that is why she can complete the foundation establishment stage. After a while of praising and criticizing, behind, Nguyen Fu's face was pale, resentfully fidgeting with her slender fingers. The book I transmigrated into was a sweet and pampered immortal cultivation story. The female lead Nguyen Fu is a junior sister in the sect, innocent and adorable. The sect master praised her with all his heart and soul. It's just that in terms of talent, because she was not as expected, she is just an ordinary person. However, the sect loved her, the fellow disciples loved her, moreover, the cold Nguyen Fu favored her. In the future, she even gave up the swordsmanship with Nguyen Fu, lived a long life together, becoming a legend. As for me, a cannon fodder female supporting character, as soon as I confessed to Nguyen Fu, I was pierced in the heart by his sword, ending in one chapter. Luckily, I was quick-witted enough to confess to Nguyen Fu's divine cloud sword. What I didn't expect was that divine cloud sword agreed on the spot. Linggu, over here, over here. A spirit sword whose entire body was as white as frost, swayed its body towards me from afar. I smiled, and quickly walked towards the divine cloud sword. As I approached, the sword body of the divine cloud sword faintly turned red, the edge of the sword vibrated, emitting a small buzzing sound. It seemed like he was shy. Where do you want to take me today? Last night, while I was meditating, I suddenly received a sound transmission talisman from the divine cloud sword, saying that it would come to pick me up from school today, and conveniently take me to a good place. For the past month, the divine cloud sword had been looking for opportunities to meet me every day, its greatest pleasure being to take me to unexpected places for dates. The divine cloud sword flying beside me, realizing that its speed was exceeding my pace, hastily slowed down. The sword body also emitted a chaotic buzzing sound, as if it was apologizing. How adorable! Today I brought you to my hometown. Hometown? My heart was startled. I tilted my head to look at the divine cloud sword. The hometown you mentioned, could it be the place with dragon bones? The divine cloud sword turned around a bit. Under my gaze, the snow-white sword body instantly turned red like fire. You know that my body is forged from dragon bones? You actually know all this. It's just dragon bones. What's so great about it? I couldn't help but laugh along with him. You're so formidable, I've heard of it long ago. Rumor has it that eldest senior brother. Speaking of Wen Fu, I felt a bit strange. I paused for a moment before continuing. Eldest senior brother went to the sword pit to choose a sword. You're the most formidable sword there. Who wouldn't covet it? The sword body of the divine cloud sword raised, and shyly smiled. It's not that powerful. It just so happens that I have the oldest qualifications, and the material I forge is dragon bone. But today I will disappoint you. The dragon bone has long since disappeared. I can't feel it now. The place I wanted to take you to today, you just mentioned, sword pit? I really didn't expect that the divine cloud sword would choose the sword pit as a meeting place. Isn't the sword pit only opened once every 10 years? Entering the sword pit, a cold air rushed in. I rubbed my arm. The divine cloud sword immediately shook, its spiritual energy swayed, forming a barrier that blocked the cold air around us. Quite thoughtful. This is my hometown, I can come and go as I please. I was a little worried. If the sect master finds out, he will definitely punish me. The divine cloud sword immediately became angry. He dares. If he dares to punish you, I will beat his ass. This is my territory, you can come and go as you please. It's that old man's turn to lecture me. I believed that the divine cloud sword had enough confidence to say that. In the book, he was a legend. Wen Fu gathered the fortune of the world in front of him, but he didn't dare to call himself the master. Oh, Shen Yun, you're so good, you actually brought someone here. Suddenly hearing a voice, I was startled. Looking around, it seemed like the voice came from a sword in the sword pit. The soul of a sword was born from heaven and earth. For the swords in the sword pit, this was nothing strange. One by one, a sword soul spoke up. Shen Yun, this is the person you were talking about, your Dao companion? Shen Yun's sword tilted its body, pretending to protect me. You guys are too talkative, I've already brought someone here. You guys are the elders, shouldn't you express yourself a little? He was clearly embarrassed, his voice was a bit hurried. He was really adorable. The sword souls stopped teasing him and turned to greet me. Shen Yun's Dao companion, your name is Ling Gu, right? This brat Shen Yun often mentions you. He even came here last night, telling us, okay, I won't say any more. Look at Shen Yun. If I say 2 more sentences, he will probably cut off relations with me. Shen Yun's Dao companion is an elder. It's our first meeting. According to the rules, we naturally have to give gifts. Countless spirit swords rushed over. I don't know where they got the charms, spiritual weapons, magic weapons, and tried to stuff them into my Qian Koan Grand. I was quite shocked. The treasures that the spirit swords gave me, at first glance it was not ordinary, at closer look, it was even more extraordinary. Take any random thing out, the cultivation world would fight over it endlessly. The spirit swords resided in the sword pit all year round. The least qualified person was born from heaven and earth at least 500 years ago. Each of them had a glorious past. The treasures they gave to them were just ordinary things. But I was miserable. It was like the New Year's Eve have to receive lucky money from adults. As he opened the bag, he said, "No need, no need, I don't need it. I don't dare accept it, I don't dare accept it." As a result, he had to accept everything. My Qianquan was stuffed full. With a full harvest, Xinyun's sword and I continued to stroll around the sword hollow. He specially found a quiet corner to talk to me privately. "Don't be stressed, in the future, if they bring their Dao companions back, I will also return the favor. It's just a matter of seeing if they have the ability." It could be heard that Xinyun's sword's tone was a bit arrogant. It seemed like he was very happy, very satisfied that he could find me as his Dao companion. Okay. I happily checked the treasures I received. I raised my head, not knowing when the Xinyun sword had quietly moved to less than 3 inches away from me. Seeing my gaze, his sword body trembled slightly, humming softly. It seemed a bit nervous. I'm blocking the wind for you. The sword hollow is cold, not good for your constitution. I nodded, feeling a bit regretful. Although finding a sword spirit as a boyfriend wasn't bad, but wanting to hold hands, wanting to have physical contact, it seemed like it had become an illusion. While I was absent-minded, the tassel of the divine cloud sword suddenly flew over with the wind. Where did the wind come from? The next second, I clearly felt the tassel fall on the back of my hand, spreading warmth. I lowered my head in surprise, looking at the tassel. So, the tassel was also a part of his body? It's really a bit cold. I moved my body, leaning closer to the divine cloud sword. At this moment, we were almost stuck together. Through the layer of cloth, I could clearly feel the ancient texture of the sword's body. It should have been cold, but because I suddenly got closer, the temperature gradually increased. He was shy. The sword's body was originally dark, but now it was covered by a layer of fiery red clouds. Damn it! I really wanted to kiss him. But I didn't know where to kiss. What if I kissed the wrong place? Leaving the sword pit with regret, as soon as I went out, I met the person I didn't want to see the most, Wen Fu. The male protagonist of this book, the one who should have used his sword to pierce my heart a month ago. Wen Fu stood up straight, his cold eyes swept past me and the divine cloud sword. "Xinyun, come here." Because of the blood contract, the divine cloud sword couldn't clearly oppose Wen Fu. Before leaving, the divine cloud sword bid me farewell. "Linggu, tomorrow I'll come pick you up from school again, then find a place to walk around. Tonight I'll contact you with a sound transmission talisman." When he said these words, Wen Fu's expression wasn't very good. It was said that recently, because the divine cloud sword was engrossed in love, he would occasionally disappear, not knowing where he went, causing Wen Fu's daily cultivation time to be less than before. Even more outrageous, there was a time when Wen Fu was discussing with an elder. The divine cloud sword in his hand suddenly rang out, quickly escaping from his hand, disappearing into the horizon with a swish. He hurriedly said, dead, Linggu is about to leave school, I can't make it." The people who stayed behind were all silent. Wen Fu's face became increasingly gloomy. At this moment, he saw me and the divine cloud sword reluctantly parting ways. Wen Fu tightly grasped the hilt of the sword, turned the sword around, hid the divine cloud sword behind his back, and solemnly said to me, "Linggu, the matter between you and Xinyun, didn't it stem from your selfishness?" I was stunned by his question. What selfishness? Wen Fu looked straight at me, as if he could see through my thoughts. "You're close to Xinyun, could it be because you want to achieve some other goal? Moreover, a month ago, you really wanted to say that the person you like is Xinyun?" Very good, it turns out that Wen Fu had long known that Linggu originally liked him. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Wen Fu sneered, the matter between you and Xin Yun's sword is really too absurd. Recently the whole sect is talking about it, don't you think so? He suddenly jumped up, leaving behind a sentence, the matter between you and Xin Yun ends here. I watched Wen Fu's figure disappear into the distance, wanting to chase after him but my steps hesitated. Xin Yun must have heard those words just now, right? With his intelligence, he must have understood the hidden meaning in his words. Then he must have known, Ling Xie originally liked Wen Fu. Did he think that he had become a tool for me to approach senior brother Wen Fu? He has a pure personality, easily thinking about random things. Just now he didn't say a word, he must have thought about this matter already. Although I initially turned to confess to Than Van Keem for the purpose of preserving my life. But after a month of living together, I was soon moved by his personality, and thought that continuing to love him wouldn't be bad. Just as I was moved, my boyfriend flew away. I was heartbroken. For 3 days in a row, Xin Yun did not contact me via sound transmission talisman. I was depressed and could not sleep. You must know that, a month before, Xin Yun had been chatting with me via sound transmission talisman, coaxing me to sleep. He was such a qualified and adorable boyfriend. I did not want to lose him. I made a plan, looking for an opportunity to explain to Xin Yun, the person who liked Wen Fu was Ling Xie before, it had nothing to do with me, who would like a cold-blooded murderer. Before I could find an opportunity, the sect sent me to lead the junior brothers and junior sisters to the secret realm to train. The incident happened right in the secret realm. Senior sister, you are at the peak of Foundation establishment, you are so formidable, you can definitely overcome this crisis. The remnant beast is really pitiful, look at it, its fur is wet from the water, shivering, if it is not warmed up, it might get sick. Nguyen Fu's voice was gentle, holding the remnant beast in his arms. This little animal was truly pitiful, its entire body was soaked, its fur was matted, its tail was singed, black, its green eyes were filled with fear. Damn it! Am I not pitiful? Right now, my entire body was covered in blood, lying on the cold river surface, almost half of my body was soaked by the cold river water. Nguyen Fu left the team on her own, determined to find the legendary remnant beast in the secret realm, and I was the leader, responsible for protecting her safety. I rushed into the demon beast's den alone, saving Nguyen Fu. She was safe and sound, but I was only heartbroken that the remnant beast was soaked by the water. Senior sister, when you leave the secret realm, I will call my senior brothers and sisters to help you. Oh, this little animal sneezed, I must quickly find a magic weapon to keep it warm. Nguyen Fu held the remnant beast, hurriedly leaving. I no longer have the strength to be angry. With difficulty standing up, I hold my chest, the pain is like a knife cutting, like a broken rib. Walking out of the ice is already the limit, I fall onto the soft grass. I am so useless. The more I do this, the more I miss Xin Yun. I wonder what he is busy with right now. While my spirit is in a panic, I hear someone calling my name, very urgently, Ling Xie, how are you, where does it hurt? Ling Xie. Someone runs quickly over, my ear is brushed by the grass, immediately after, a sleeve falls down, a strong arm hugs my shoulder. I rest my head on the warm, broad arms, still thinking in a daze, why does this person's voice sound so familiar? It seems to be Xin Yun's voice. I try to open my eyelids a little. Before me, a handsome young man, his face full of worry. I reach out, and pinch his cheek. The young man is stunned. I choke, feeling very wronged. It's been 3 days, you haven't paid any attention to me for 3 days. I miss you so much, Than Van. You're the first person I liked, no, you're the first sword I liked, don't listen to those people's nonsense, I don't like that violent maniac Van Fu. Injured people are usually weaker, I babbled on and on. I was thinking, if it really was Than Van, how great would that be? I woke up, before my eyes was a burning fire. And beside me, the sword light flashed. The divine cloud sword quickly moved in front of me, worriedly asking, Ling Xie, how are you? Are you feeling better? Does it still hurt anywhere? Tell me, I have the blood heavenly lotus, it can help the wound heal quickly. It really was divine cloud. Wait, then what was that handsome young man last night? Could it be, I was dreaming? My chest hurts, my legs are also scratched, and here too, my wrist. Divine cloud sword, helped me check, the sword's spine, each cold ray of light shot out, seemingly angry. They all abandoned me, didn't care about me. After pouring out all my feelings, I asked Divine Cloud Sword, Divine Cloud, why did you come to the secret realm? Did senior brother come too? Divine Cloud Sword paused for a moment, but it seemed like I was hallucinating. He continued to quickly treat the wound on my leg. The trouser leg was rolled up, revealing a stretch of white skin. The blue sword body under the darkness instantly emitted a layer of light red. He coughed, pretending not to notice, answering my question, I heard you went to the secret realm to train, so I deliberately followed. At the entrance I met Nguyen Fu and the others, but I didn't see you. I was worried, so I rushed in. I sobbed, I thought you didn't care about me anymore. I was acting a bit. But the pure divine cloud sword, worried to the point of spinning around in circles on the spot, its spiritual energy swirling with the fallen leaves. How could that be? Just recently my body has been a bit unusual, so. I was worried, are you not feeling well? It's much better now. I just thought that Shen Yun was making excuses for myself, and didn't ask any more questions. I relaxed my body and enjoyed his attention. The wounds on my body were all carefully treated by Shen Yun. I pointed at my chest, and here, it seems like your ribs are broken. When Shen Yun saw me pointing at that spot, he quickly retreated a few inches as if to avoid it, and stammered, broken bones when you were unconscious, I already fixed them. Really? Then why do I still feel a little pain? I took off my shirt to check. I raised my head and saw that Shen Yun's sword had already run several meters away. Although the sword body was standing straight, the tip of the sword occasionally trembled, and the bright red color couldn't be dispelled. Ah! He's really too adorable. Shen Yun's sword heard my footsteps and quickly turned around. Your body hasn't recovered yet, you should still limit your movements. Immediately after, I sat down and leaned my head against him. These days, I miss you so much. Thinking back, I blushed, it turned out I knew how to act spoiled like that. The divine cloud sword suddenly fell silent, letting me lean on him. The sword wisdom had flown up at some point, landing on my shoulder, like a warm and sturdy arm. I miss you too. I miss you so much, I miss you so much. Because I was seriously injured, and was near the lair of the demon beasts, there were many dangers. I could only rest for a while, then choose a day to leave the secret realm. During this time, the divine cloud sword took good care of me. Occasionally, he would go explore the secret realm, looking for good things for me. Ling Gu, look, this is the misty butterfly, the powder on the butterfly's wings can bewitch the mind. If you encounter any trouble in the future, release the misty butterfly, first make the other party unconscious. I saw the light emitted by the misty butterfly, and I can also immediately come to save you. I swallowed hard, speaking as if swallowing a knife. Ling Gu, what's wrong with you, are you not feeling well? It seems like I have a fever. Weakly grabbed the divine cloud sword's sword blade, placing it on my forehead. Because of being too nervous, the divine cloud sword was in chaos, the tip of the sword trembled in panic, creating afterimages. I comforted him, let me sleep and I'll be fine soon, let me lean on you for a while. I leaned against Shen Yun's sword body. To be honest, it wasn't very comfortable. After all, he was stiff and cold, but I felt satisfied in my heart. In the midst of my high fever, I fell asleep, feeling the jolting, curiously opening my eyes to look. Ling Gu, bear with it, I'll take you away from here, Ling Gu. The young man's voice mixed with the wind, a little vague, sounding like he was crying. I was carried on the young man's broad, sturdy back. The wind and snow were howling, but his steps were still steadfast, step by step passing through the dangerous demon beast den. Even the terrifying roars of the demon beasts couldn't stop his steps. Ahead, a pair of ferocious beast eyes appeared, in the dark night, like an abyss swallowing humans. The young man didn't retreat, protecting me, his spiritual power exploded, charging straight forward. As for me, I was stunned, looking at his hair flying in the wind, grabbing a lock of hair in my hand. The hair was cut off by spiritual power, falling into my palm. I fainted again. When I woke up, I was back at the sect. I was lying in my cave, next to me was the divine cloud sword. He was leaning sideways, the sword's body was dim, there were clearly a few scratches on it. As for my hand, I looked at the lock of hair, my heart filled with emotions. It wasn't a dream. Although before, I had accepted the fact that my boyfriend was a sword quite well. Compared to his appearance, Xinyun's personality, his care, and his strength, all made me love him. Being together for a long time, there was nothing wrong with it. But over time, reality told me that my boyfriend could actually transform into a human form. It was normal to think about it. The soul of a sword was born from heaven and earth, condensing the body and transforming depended on each sword. With Xinyun's strength, transforming was not difficult, it was just a matter of whether he wanted to or not. But the strange thing was, why did he deliberately hide it? I was a little confused. The fever had subsided, the wound was almost healed, it was time to find Nguyen Phu to clear things up. It was just that, before that, I didn't expect Xinyun to have solved everything for me. Third uncle came to visit me, his tone filled with emotion. When I first heard about you and the divine cloud sword, I wasn't very optimistic, it was just absurd. I thought, like Nguyen Phu said, you were just angry. Noticing my bad complexion, she stopped, then talked about the divine cloud sword. After going through countless difficulties, we finally escaped from the secret realm. The divine cloud sword brought you back to the sect. After taking care of you, the first thing was to go before the sect leader, to demand justice for you. Imagining the scene of Xinyun confronting the sect master, my heart was pounding. The sect master condoning and defending Nguyen Phu is not something that happens in a day or two. I'm afraid it won't be easy this time, right? That's right. As a swordsman, third master uncle excitedly slapped his thigh. However, Xinyun's sword used one move to send the sect master's spirit sword flying, declaring that if the sect master doesn't handle things fairly this time, he will cut off everyone's spirit swords. With the strength of Xinyun's sword, he can do this. I thought to myself, poor sect master's spirit sword, he must have called Xinyun brother many times in his normal life, but now he has to confront him. The investigation is going quite smoothly, that's right. Where did you get the Suo Shi Jing? Third master uncle glanced at my Qian Koan Grand. I took out the Suo Shi Jing. To put it simply, its function was like a surveillance camera. In the secret realm, Nguyen Phu's every move was accurately recorded by Todoi Kin, as evidence to be submitted to the punishment hall. As for Todoi Kin, it was one of the gifts that the Sword Souls gave me the last time I went to Kim Trung with Then Van. Seeing what Nguyen Phu did through Todoi Kin, the faces of the sect master and Van Phu were not very good. I snorted, leaving the team without permission, abandoning his fellow disciples, saying that he was going to call for reinforcements for me. If Then Van Kim hadn't rushed into the secret realm, I would have just sat there waiting like this. I might have died in the demon beast's lair. Thinking about it makes me angry. Third uncle comforted me. Nguyen Phu has been imprisoned in the punishment hall, we will deal with him later. She suddenly looked at me with a teasing gaze. Ling Xie, you have a good eye for people, the divine cloud sword treats you very well, listens to you obediently. I was injured myself, and before I could heal, I went to seek justice for you. What you urgently need, thinking about what you want, I'm afraid you want his life, he is willing. I was surprised, why would I want his life, I love him so much. Cough, that. Ling Xie, the pill is done refining, come take your medicine. I don't know when Divine Cloud entered. He clearly heard what I just said. The sword's body was so hot that it was almost smoking, its light was sparkling. The buzzing sound from the vibration was like a broken beehive, the teacup on the table almost fell, luckily I quickly caught it. I thought to myself, he came at the right time and at the wrong time. Moreover, he's too naive like this. Thinking about how handsome he would be when he turns into a human. I love him even more. Third Master Uncle looked at him, then looked at me, and ran away. The Divine Cloud Sword stood straight at the door. When he was not talking, if you did not pay attention to the red patches on the sword's body, he looked like an ordinary sword. My heart softened, I got off the bed, and grabbed his sword's tassel. What are you still standing there for? Come here. The Divine Cloud hovered at eye level with me. I thought to myself, this little cutie is really stupid, I wanted to tease him a little. The corner of my lips just touched the body of his sword, this time, the Divine Cloud Sword reacted very quickly, and quickly retreated. Noticing my disappointed gaze, the Divine Cloud Sword quickly said, the sword is sharp, I'm afraid of hurting you. I pretended to be disappointed and kicked the tip of my foot. If only you could transform into a human. The Divine Cloud Sword clearly paused. I racked my brain, and hinted a few more sentences. But the Divine Cloud Sword did not react at all, as if it was deliberately avoiding the topic of transformation. I found it even more strange. After drinking the elixir that Than Van had made for me, I was so sleepy that I wanted to sleep in, but someone didn't want me to get what I wanted. Van Fu actually came to find me. The first sentence made me laugh. You treat Nguyen Fu like that, you must make her receive the punishment of being whipped, is it because you're jealous of her? I replied, what am I jealous of Nguyen Fu about? Jealous that she's still the weakest, even entering the Luyan Kai period is difficult? There are people whose minds are only in one line, they don't understand human language, I'm talking about Van Fu. He looked at me with pity, giving me goosebumps. Ling Xie, I know you have feelings for me, our two families are close friends, we entered the sect together, you are more and more attached to me, your love is deep. But Nguyen Fu is innocent, she is naive and innocent, sometimes her thoughts are not thorough, I do feel a little sorry for her, but that is not the reason for you to target her. I wanted to vomit. Not only did Van Fu disgust me, her words also deeply hurt my soul sword boyfriend. Beside, then Van Keem silently listened to our conversation. The sword body swayed, seemingly sad, the sword body that was originally sparkling with color, was now covered in a dull gray, dull and without light. A look of suffering because of love. My heart tightened. I glared at Wen Fu in frustration, two fingers clasped together, pointing straight up to the sky. Wen Fu, I'll say it again, I don't have any romantic feelings for you, to prove what I said is true, I'm willing to make a heart demon oath. Ling Gu, don't. The spiritual energy around the Divine Cloud Sword fluctuated violently, he was clearly frightened by my actions. I took a deep breath, and continued speaking. Wen Fu, you know what the heart demon oath means to a cultivator, I solemnly declare, I, Ling Gu, don't have any romantic feelings for you, the person I like, is Divine Cloud. Wen Fu watched me make a heart demon oath, his eyes filled with surprise. Must I do this? I curled my lips and laughed coldly, if the oath I made is false, I will be tormented by my inner demons, and more seriously, I might even become a demon. Just wait and see, will I still be able to stand before you safely? Wen Fu was silent for a long time. I refused to give up, facing his gaze. Forget it. In the end, Wen Fu was the first to give up, rubbing the center of my brow. You really like Shen Yun? I nodded without hesitation, of course. I looked at Shen Yun affectionately. My boyfriend noticed my gaze, a few electric sparks flashed on the sword's edge, both tense and excited. His spiritual power was like boiling water. Seemingly dissatisfied with the ambiguous atmosphere between us, Wen Fu frowned, his face cold. What if I don't agree? He stepped in front of me. The distance was a bit dangerous. His aura was also cold, as if it wanted to penetrate the flesh. The Shen Yun sword immediately blocked between us. Wen Fu gritted his teeth, asking, Shen Yun, do you want to betray your master? You must know, we have established a blood contract. You cannot betray me. His words reminded me. It was described in the book that after Wen Fu took Shen Yun out of the sword pit, fearing that something unexpected might happen, he immediately drew a blood contract. The existence of a blood contract would restrict Shen Yun, and he could not go against Wen Fu's wishes. If Wen Fu insisted on separating us, then Shen Yun and I might be lost. No way. I regret. Shen Yun's voice sounded very vague. If you regret getting entangled with Ling Gu, then quickly follow me back, and from now on, you will never see her again. Shen Yun smiled faintly. What I regret is that I shouldn't have made a blood contract with you because I was bored and found you to be okay. Confidence hurt. Wen Fu's face turned green and white, not wanting to believe. You think I'm pleasing to the eye? Isn't it because my strength is superior? Shen Yun unintentionally exposed his last bit of pride. You think too much. They parted unhappily. Wen Fu left a message. If Shen Yun refused to break up with him, he would use drastic measures, even self-destruction. I didn't know why he was so stubborn, until, before stepping out of my cave, Wen Fu suddenly turned around, his jet-black eyes looking deeply into me. Ling Gu, why did you change your mind, before you were clearly infatuated with me? How could you abandon me? I was truly speechless. He looked as if his feelings were hurt. How should I explain? Before, if I wasn't quick-witted, the moment he confessed, he would have killed me. What's going on now, acting like he can't let go of me, even, like he was heartlessly betrayed by me? Actually, the previous Wen Fu wasn't heartless towards you. I guessed it. Otherwise, when the old Ling Gu confessed, how could Wen Fu have killed her on the spot? A heartless swordsman is exactly this kind of bastard, killing whoever he loves, as if he was seriously ill. I smiled and looked at the divine cloud sword. So what? I like you. The divine cloud sword was flustered by my teasing. I know. What do you know? I deliberately asked. That's, I know. His voice gradually became smaller, but the sword's body was shining. If he were a human, he would definitely be opening his sparkling eyes wide right now, taking advantage of the moment when I looked away, secretly pursing his lips and snickering, right? Sigh, what a pity. I hope to see my boyfriend's lively appearance soon. After I recovered, life returned to peace. It's just that the divine cloud sword seemed to be worried about the heart demon oath I had made, so it came to me even more diligently. Seeing that I was still the same as before, still full of life, he gradually felt at ease, his mood becoming more and more cheerful. He was so happy that his sword body was shining brightly. Wherever he went, everyone's eyes were dazzled by him. Ling Gu, over here, over here. Today, Divine Cloud came to Su Xiu Peak to pick me up from school. I could see him from afar. His whole body was sparkling, not inferior to the sun, moon, and stars. I quickly walked over, smiled, and used my slender fingers to hook the tassel of his sword. Where do you want to take me on a date today? The divine cloud sword trembled, trying to respond to me naturally. Behind Su Xiu Peak, there is a forest. The scenery is beautiful, called Little Cave Heaven. Have you ever heard of it? I nodded. Of course I knew, Little Cave Heaven was the holy place for dating in the sect. Sometimes when I passed by at night, I could often see passionate couples, using the shade of the trees to cover themselves, doing shy things, making people blush and their hearts beat. Could it be? Shin Yun had finally understood? That night, Shin Yun brought me to Little Cave Heaven. The scenery here was truly unique, the shade of the trees was lush, the moonlight shone, like a dream and an illusion. I turned around and climbed the tree, Shin Yun followed. He seemed quite nervous, he kept a distance of 2 fists from me, the blade of his sword slightly raised. I wonder if he was looking at the moon through the leaves. I took the initiative to speak. I heard that under Su Xiu Peak, there is a fierce ancient beast suppressed. It must have been at least a few thousand years ago, right? I asked this. One reason was because the book mentioned this fierce ancient beast. Not long from now, it would be the time when it would break the seal and rampage everywhere. However, even though it was an ancient beast, it was only to embellish the feelings of the male and female leads. After the ancient beast broke the seal, Van Fu and the sect fought continuously for many days, was seriously injured, and almost lost his life. Luckily, Nguyen Fu was by their side. After going through hardships together, the feelings between the two became even deeper. Van Fu even gave up the ruthless swordsmanship for her. Sigh, the female lead is really different from a cannon fodder female sidekick like me. Second, I wanted to secretly inquire about the age of the spirit sword boyfriend. I knew he was a person with a very high background, but until now, I still didn't have a specific concept. Shin Yun really didn't think much, honestly answering me. Under Su Xiu Peak, there is indeed a fierce beast. The seal must have been for 2,300 years. Sniff, it seems that the boyfriend's age is definitely over 2,000 years old. The ancestors are alive. This age gap. Love, love. The moonlight was like mist, looking into the distance. In front of me was a jade tree and a stone branch, pure white. My thoughts jumped, suddenly saying, "That, do you know how to communicate?" Shin Yun's sword. I was startled by myself. I quickly covered my mouth with my hand, coughing lightly to hide my embarrassment. Cough, I was just asking. Beside me, the sword body that was originally as bright as snow was now glowing red like hot iron, the red color rising, as if it was being forged in a furnace, the heat rising up. The distance between our fists was shortened to 1 fist, and I moved a little closer to him. "So, do you know about telepathy?" My curiosity was really too great, thinking that since I had already lost my face, I might as well ask for clarification. Also, if I get pregnant in the future, will I be born a sword? This question had troubled me for many days, and I couldn't help but frown and say, if so, it will be very painful when I give birth, right? The divine cloud sword was silent for a long time, as if its soul had left its body, and its body seemed frozen by the moonlight, motionless. I poked him with my finger. "Tell me, do you know or not? Also, will I be born a sword in the future?" I poked him again. "Hey, don't you know what telepathy is? It's the soul this and that, doing some things that are good for your physical and mental health." These were all things I read before I transmigrated. There was no sex education in the sect, and I was too embarrassed to ask others, so I asked my boyfriend, who was knowledgeable, to satisfy my curiosity. Shin Yun Jian finally came back to his senses, but his words were stuttering. Not hearing what he said, I moved a little more. This time, I leaned completely against my boyfriend, our bodies touching, our temperatures blending. Right now, his whole body was flushed, exuding a strong breath, smelling a little intoxicating. I scolded him, "What are you talk?" My forehead heated up, seeing his innocent appearance, an evil fire immediately rose in my dantian. I couldn't help but tease him. My fingers gently caressed the body of his sword. I deliberately pressed closer, softly saying, "You're so hot." This time it was terrible. The divine cloud sword trembled violently. Above my head, leaves rustled, as if a hurricane was sweeping past. I lost my balance, leaning back. Ling Ca. But at this moment, a strong arm reached out, through the flying hair, firmly supported my body, pulling me into his embrace. I opened my bright eyes wide and looked at the young man in front of me. Just call him young man. Because his appearance was truly exquisite and handsome, his whole body was filled with youthful breath, and his shy appearance came into my face. The red color spread to the tips of his ears, and under his dark green clothes, there was a captivating color. I was fascinated and lifted his face up. Finally willing to use human form to face me? Among the sparkling flowers, Xinyun stared at me, then turned his face away. Sorry, I asked, why did you clearly transform before, but you refused to use human form to face me? Xinyun pursed his lips, and after a long while, he said, I'm not like him, huh? I didn't understand what he meant, my mind was a bit hazy. They all say the sword follows its master, but I'm not like him. I just thought if I was like him, you would be happier. I was stunned for a long time. For so long, Xinyun even started to fidget, his eyes became sparkling with unease, the palm that was holding my arm trembled slightly, covered in sweat. Staring at his jet black eyes, I finally came to my senses. Oh my God! How could he be so adorable? At first, I thought that when he heard that the person I liked was Wen Fu, he would be heartbroken and even angry because I teased him. Who would have thought? Him. No. Yes. He even became troubled because after transforming, his appearance was very different from Wen Fu, wondering if I would hate him or not. To be honest, Xinyun was absolutely an incurable lovesick person. But I liked it so much. What lovesick person, it was so sweet. Xinyun, you're really stupid. Now that I've made the heart demon oath, you finally believe that the person I love is only you, right? I raised my head and kissed him on the cheek. Xinyun was kissed until his face and ears were red, and his eyes that were as clear as water, reflecting my face. The moonlight was like thin silk, entwined to the point that it made my heart beat fast. He also kissed me back. Very gently. After the kiss, his handsome face was flushed red, he quickly turned his face away. Looking sideways, the corners of his lips couldn't help but curve up, he was clearly smiling, a very bright smile, very moving, even more beautiful than the moonlight. The scenery tonight is beautiful, let's not let down the name Lover's Hill of Shaodong Tian. Why is it called Lover's Hill? Because the couples in the sect all like to come here to roll around. The shadow of the moon, the shadow of the trees, the shadow of the people, intertwined, rustling sounds rang out, not knowing if it was a gentle breeze blowing by, or the whispers of lovers. I discovered something interesting. Every time Xinyun kissed me, he was so nervous that he tiptoed. His feet curled up, until our lips separated, his tense body relaxed. That unconscious little action on him, was really so adorable. I wonder if when he did that, he was also tiptoed because he was nervous? Xinyun was a little panicked. Wait, Ling Gu, it can't be done here, it's not convenient where you are either. How about, come to my cave?